Welcome to Ladies Who Jazz, where each month I interview and feature a different female jazz musician. Today we have the extraordinary Allison Miller, who is a drummer and composer. Allison, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Hello.
How did you get started in jazz?
Well, I grew up outside of D.C. in Maryland, and I started drumming when I was 8, but then a couple years went by, finally got a drum set, and I wanted to take private lessons, and there was this guy, Walter Saub, who was the main teacher in the area. So someone recommended him. I went to him, and he changed my life. But one of the things that he changed for me was that he introduced me to jazz.
Oh, wow.
And he introduced me to big band jazz, which I liked okay. He gave me a Buddy Rich record, but then I don't even know who it was, but somebody gave me Miles Davis record, and that's when I really got the bug.
Who are your top 3 greatest jazz influences and why?
Thelonious Monk, and the reason he is because of the space in his music and his phrasing and his quirkiness. I love his 3/4 phrasing. Another inspiration, I'm going to go the composer route right now instead of the drummer route, Wayne Shorter.
Absolutely.
I think Wayne Shorter's compositions are, life-changing, mind-blowing, evocative, interesting, unique, and I love the way he solos as well as a soloist. He was one of the main soloists, other than drummers, that I transcribed a lot of.
Very cool.
When I was in school. And then the third, I'm going to go with Duke Ellington.
Awesome. Classic. You just came out with a new album, Otis Was a Polar Bear, which is a fantastic album.
Thank you.
Can you talk about how you put your band together and your compositional process?
Well, the band started as a trio, and it started with Myra Melford on piano and Todd Sikafus on bass. And that was, Todd was a no-brainer for me because he's my rhythmic superhero, twin superhero. We do a lot of things together. Myra, I first played with about, I guess, probably going on 15 years ago at the Jazz Standard. We did a trio with Marty Ehrlich, a great saxophone player. And that was the first time I played with her. And after that night, I knew that I wanted her in my band.
Wow.
It just took me another 8 years to make it happen. But I finally made it happen. And the thing that I liked about her was that she, especially when the beginning of my band Boom Tick Boom formed, I was writing very simple tunes, just like a head, solos, head out kind of thing. And I was really coming from a more traditional jazz background with my composing. But I knew Myra would kind of take those compositions and flip them upside down and do all kinds of crazy things to them. She's like a real fire starter, and she doesn't play a lot of straight ahead, so I was kind of psyched to have that element involved. And then from there, Jenny joined the band, Jenny Scheinman, great violinist, kind of because I had one tune on my first record that I wanted fiddle on, and she's also one of my best friends.
Awesome.
A lot of the beginnings of my band really are because we're all friends.
Yeah.
And then now with this new music I'm writing, I'm hearing sextet with clarinet and cornet. It took me a minute to come to that instrumentation. I tried tenor saxophone at first, and I had Donnie McCaslin play with me, which is, he's the best. He's brilliant. But I realized I wasn't really hearing the tenor sound. So I ended up with clarinet and cornet, and I think it's a beautiful sound. And I think that Kirk Kanufke and Ben Goldberg play really beautifully together.
What is your compositional process like?
Well, a lot of times it's based on inspiration. So I'll go through long spells without writing, and then I'll either tell myself I need to start writing, and I'll do like an exercise where I'll write every morning, first thing, without coffee or anything. It's harder now with a 2-year-old, but I try. Or something will happen in my life, and then I'm inspired, and then I write. So with this record, it was that I became a mom, and I had all of a sudden had this amazing human being that I had to keep alive. And for some reason, not for some reason, I found that very inspiring and joyous. So a lot of the music was easy for me to write. I just let it go. I just let the juices flow. And then I changed a little bit of the way I write. Usually I write on the piano, and this time around I wrote on the piano. I also wrote on just straight into Finale,
cool.
With a little MIDI keyboard.
Yeah.
A lot of the new songs were written on airplanes, and I wrote on the vibraphone and the bass. And also, we've been a band now for 8 years. So I'm really able to write for each member of the band now. You know, I don't think about just writing a melody. I think about how would Myra play that melody.
Your live show at Dizzy's last month was incredible, and you guys moved as one, and yet every member was able to shine. And you know, it seemed to me that you were conducting the band from behind the drum kit. How is it playing these songs live?
It's euphoric, totally euphoric. Another thing I love about this, every person in my band, is that they all take the music and they play it as if they're the band leader. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Everybody shines. I feel really proud that I was able to compose in a way that everybody could really show their stuff. And yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. We did about 25 shows in a month and a half.
Wow.
And I've never done that with my band. And now I'm like an addict. Like, I'm like emailing people like, where can I get more gigs?
Yeah.
You know, I need more places to play with my band. And, you know, unfortunately half my band lives on the West Coast.
Sure.
So I actually need to make money too.
Yeah.
But it was great. I mean, and really I like how you said we were moving as one, because by the end I really felt like we just kind of swayed together, and the music really opened up in a beautiful way, and everybody was having a good time. You know, like I was telling my friend last night that on a couple of the bigger shows where we had multiple dressing rooms, we all still ended up in the same dressing room together, because we were like, I miss you, I miss you, I miss you.
You've played across genres from jazz, rock to folk with the likes of Dr. Lonnie Smith, Natalie Merchant, Toshi Reagan, to name a few. Can you talk about your approach when playing across the styles, and is there a common thread?
Yes, the common thread is me. I mean, if I'm playing all these different styles, and I'm always going to come to each musical situation with a element of improvisation. So, you know, if you're a singer-songwriter and you want a drummer to play the same every single time, don't hire me. I'll play really musically, but I won't play the same. So, you know, Ani DeFranco, when I was playing with her, she never wanted me to play a song the same every night.
Right.
In fact, if I did, she got kind of bored. Natalie's the same way. She wants little subtleties. She wants me to move with her phrasing. All of the singers I've worked for, like, I think one of the things they like about my drumming is that I'm very dynamic, so I'll play underneath their lyric. I mean, I learned it from a really young age how to play with singers, because my first gig was with Natalie Merchant when I was 23.
Wow.
So I went from only playing jazz to all of a sudden playing in the United Center where the Chicago Bulls play for 30,000 people.
Wow.
With Natalie. And I'm like, I remember, I'll never forget, I was still trying to learn her music, so I was doing these little handwritten charts like all of us jazzers do. And I had them taped to my drum, and I'm playing, and then but I didn't really factor in the fact that there would be these rock and roll lights. So the lights came on. All of a sudden, I could not see my pencil markings, and I'm staring at the drum trying to read. And then I look up, and there's the screens, like a jumbotron.
Oh, right.
There's a huge jumbotron focused on me, playing the drums while I'm going like this. Other than that, I just try to play the music. You know, if a music doesn't call for a lot of busy drumming, then don't do it. Right. You know, I think a lot of jazz drummers have a problem with that. Like, you know, transferring over to a rock setting because they're used to playing drums in a way that's just a busier approach, you know, or a more unique approach. And in rock and roll, it's just about playing the music, playing the song. In fact, I believe it's that way in jazz too.
Sure.
But it's just a matter of keeping your ears open, keeping your ears big, and playing what's appropriate.
Yeah, I find that so poignant. I mean, at your show and even on the recording, it was almost as if less was more. You know, it's not how many notes you play, but how do you play them?
Exactly, exactly. Like, what's your intention behind that note?
Absolutely.
And I love space. Yesterday, I was telling you I did this show in D.C. and one of the audience members came up to me afterwards, and he came up and he said, "I love the way you cut space." And he went like this.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's the biggest compliment I've ever received, you know? And it was so cool. I'd never thought of it like that. He was like, yeah, he's like, for me, space is the most important thing in music. And that's what makes music, is how you craft the space.
Right.
And I was like, oh, do you want to go out for a drink?
What are you currently focused on your practice right now?
You're asking me at a funny time because I just came off of a 2-week vacation. But with practice, I practice brushes. I practice very simple. So yesterday I practiced for 20 minutes before my show, and I just got out my, I carry the Ted Reed Syncopation book, which is kind of like the drummer's Bible. Very simple book. But I rarely open it. I just actually play the cover of it.
Oh, wow.
Because I think it sounds good with brushes. So I just got that out, put the metronome on 90, 2 and 4 on 90, and just played just to like get a feel in my body. That's pretty much what I do. Sometimes I'll practice this thing called the rudimental ritual, which is a exercise created by Alan Dawson, who was a great teacher. He taught Tony Williams, Terry Lynn Carrington, Cindy Blackman, so many greats. And the other thing I'm really obsessed with is some North Indian rhythms that I've been practicing a lot on the drums. Other than that, it's all composing. I'm writing music for a show at, I don't know if you've ever heard of Jacob's Pillow. Have you heard of
That sounds familiar, yes.
It's a big dance festival in the Berkshires.
Oh, wow.
So I've been asked to be musical director for a new show.
Cool.
So I'm composing a lot of music for that right now.
As someone who is so experienced in the form, how do you challenge yourself to grow?
I feel like it's not a challenge. I feel like you're not living unless you're growing. You know? I mean, for me, that's why I love music. It's never ending. You can never be perfect at it. There are always imperfections, which are really what is so beautiful about music as well. So for me, it's not a challenge at all to find ways to improve myself or learn more. I think I'm pretty lucky in that sense that I'm always inspired by something. When we were just in Tuscany on vacation, and I was inspired by the nature there. Like, I was going running on these hills. You know, I would look out into the field and see this grass, and then I was thinking about there are like thousands of species inside that grass, and that's what makes that grass grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
This little microcosm of, it's like a little environment. And I thought, it's chaos but perfect harmony. And then all of a sudden I had all these compositional ideas.
Wow.
So, you know, I think it's very easy to stay inspired. Plus,
Absolutely.
I live in New York City, and all of my favorite musicians live here. So if I am feeling not inspired, all I have to do is go out to a couple clubs and hear some of my favorite musicians.
What advice do you have for the girls and ladies out there who would like to start playing jazz?
It's getting better and better. I will say that. But we still have a long way to go, ladies. They want us to say that we don't have a long way to go. I don't know who they are, but I'm just putting that out there, is that a lot of young women think that we have equality now, and we don't. And it's very easy for it to slip backwards. You can see it happening, actually, if you turn on CNN right now, or any,
totally.
You know what I mean, with the election. I would say keep your vision, and, you know, if you have a passion for something, you're already lucky, right?
Yeah.
So many people go through their lives not discovering their passion. So if you have a passion, run with it, go with it. If you have that passion, then you'll be able to work hard. You know, you have to work hard. Nothing comes for free.
Yes.
And I think, you know, if you can really grasp that concept, that, I know it sounds cliche, it's like, what do they say? 10% talent, 90% hard work, drive. It's kind of true.
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. Sometimes I do the TV thing, you know, when I was doing Seth Meyers, and he sometimes on the breaks he talks to the audience, and he's really actually very poignant and a very nice guy and a really hard worker. And someone asked him, like, can you give me an advice? I'm a young comedian, you know, and he said, you learn more from your failures than your successes. So start young so you can fail a lot. And he basically said, he's like, I'm not the funniest guy. I wasn't the funniest guy on SNL, but I was one of the hardest workers and the hardest writers. So that really stuck with me for some reason, because I was like, yeah, it's true. Like, you can have success, but you really do have to work hard. So I would say to the ladies and the young girls, keep that. You know, if you have a passion, go for it, work hard. In some ways, you have to kind of keep your blinders on, because you'll have, I kind of think of it as like, what's that old that arcade game? Oh, like Frogger. You know, I'm like the frog. And there are all these things coming at me, and I just have to like keep my blinders on and keep my path and keep my eye on the prize. That's how I think of it.
And my last and most favorite question is, what is your favorite food?
I'm a total food junkie. This is really hard to answer.
Top 3 then.
I love uni.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Love uni. Like I will go travel far and wide for some good uni. That's sea urchin. I love oysters, raw oysters. I love really good Italian canned tuna in olive oil.
That's a classic. I see the seafood
I went the
theme.
whole fish route.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true.
Well, Allison, thank you so much for being here. For the audience out there, if you've enjoyed this interview and would like to see other ladies who jazz, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to like this video. If you are a lady who plays jazz or know of someone who does and would like to see them featured on this show, please drop me a line here or on my website, lisalouguitar.com. I'm Lisa Lou. This is the awesome Allison Miller. Keep shedding.